Happy birthday for yesterday, Aiden. This is the
Yeah.
Outside Gate with Steve Hall on the L4 Media Network. And for show 75, Kris Keefer, how are you?
I'm awesome, man. Friday morning here in the High Des. So we got a big live show tonight with Steve and the guys. So yeah, just getting ready for that. And I appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate you coming on, man. I know how busy you are, man. I listen to all your stuff, and I know you're a very busy man with all the things you do with Keefer testing and Racer X and all these different things. And
Hey, if you want to make money in this sport, dude, you got to have 18 jobs. Otherwise, you're going to be poor as shit. So I'm like, I better hustle now because sooner or later I'm going to be too old to do all this shit. So I might as well do it now.
yeah, man, that's it. That's it. Yeah. Well, I make a tiny little bit of money out of the sport, but yeah, I don't have 18 jobs yet, but I'm trying to get to 18, I guess. Yeah, I got
So what do you do for a living?
two or three. I have a little construction company. Well, I'm a handyman, so I have a little handyman company. So I usually say
Okay.
construction because it sort of makes a bit more sense to guys in the US. So I guess handyman in Australia, we sort of means I do a little bit of all the trades. So I'm not qualified as any of the trades, but I can do all the trades.
So
So
you're just good at a lot of shit, is what you're basically saying.
I can fix anything or build anything, man. Yeah,
And
yeah,
you got a family married?
yeah, man. Yeah. Married for geez, you lose count after a while. Married for over 20 years. Yeah, man. Two kids. So
Nice.
yeah. So
So your home life's solid. You got a good home life.
I do have good home life, man. Yeah. No, I think I remember we're probably 22, 20. Now I can work it out off my son's age. My boy's 21, so 22 years married. So there you go.
Good for you, man. Like that's rare
Yeah.
nowadays. You don't see many people that are married that long. It's mostly like my parents' era where you were just like you get out of school, you get a job, you get married and have kids.
Yeah.
That's kind of rare nowadays, you know? So
Yeah, we're pretty old school couple, man. Pretty traditional, like it is rare, but we're very country people, man. We're pretty we're sort of you know, very country, old school sort of vibes. Yeah. My parents they were married for over 50 years, man. But they still, I guess, well, mum passed away basically, so that's what ended their marriage. From 50
honestly,
years, man,
that's an
it's
example. Like
amazing. Yeah,
I feel like the kids nowadays, they just see it's like a copy paste what your parents are doing, you know? So if you have a good solid home value life, or even if you're mom and dad do separate, but if you got one good parent, I think it sets a tone for the kids. And I think, like you said, you watched your parents, they were married 50 years or whatever, and I think that's just ingrained in you.
yeah. It is, man. It is. It's amazing. I can remember I gave obviously I like to talk, man. I'm known as the guy that loves to give a bit of a speech if he gets a chance at a thing. And I remember we just had a little thing for my parents for their 50th anniversary, and I did a little speech, and I was talking about how out of all my circle of friends, there was only my parents and one other friend's parents that were still together and things like that. Like it was this crazy how many things had happened, even that's that generation. That's like the boomers, and there was still all this separation. And nowadays, it's so much worse, man. So yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
know
don't
you.
see many people like, especially my kids' age, like, hey, is your parents together? Nah, they're not together, they're
Yeah,
remarried, or I got a single mom or dad, So it's more on that side than it is like, hey, yeah, man, we've been married 25 years. Like, holy shit, that's crazy.
yeah.
Heather and I
No,
have been married 20 years, dude, and we've been together like 25 years.
yeah, yeah. We were similar. Like we're the same age. You're 48, yeah,
Yep. Yep.
yeah, same. And yeah, my missus was 19, and I was 21, I think, when we hooked up.
What was your batting order? What was the misses in your batting order? Do you know what that
Uh,
means?
yeah, man. Two. She was two.
She was number two.
Yeah, yeah. She was number two. Yeah, number two. And yeah, man. I only had two ladies before her, or one. Or like I had a girlfriend, and that was like a second base girlfriend, and then I had then I had a wild chick, wild as fuck. There's some stories about her, man. There's some stories about her that you'd enjoy. I had the fucking wild, loose, crazy chick, and then
Look,
yeah.
look at this guy.
Hey, happy birthday for yesterday, man.
What's that?
Happy birthday for yesterday,
Happy
man.
birthday.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Cheers, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Heather, I was a man whore growing up. So for me, as ugly as I was, I managed to have a solid
Yeah.
sex life. But like for me, like I had to be funny. You had to take him out. Like, Aiden just came in. The way they date now, I'm just like, you actually had to put in work back in the day to go out with
Yeah.
the girl, and you never knew what was going to happen. You're in there getting ready for your date, taking a shower. You're like, man, what if I'm going to get lucky tonight? These kids nowadays, they already know, like, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I'm like, how's that even work? It's so weird how it works now. Like, they won't even meet. Like, he'll be talking to someone, and like, well, have you seen her? He's like, no, I've never seen her before. And I'm like, when do you plan on meeting her? He's like, oh yeah, tonight. I'm like, okay, man. Like, it's just so different.
Yeah, I hear about it from young ones, young blokes and that sort of thing, that are just out, and it blows me away, man. A lot of things about relationships and boys and girls and all that, man. It just fucking blows me away nowadays what goes on. So yeah, it's crazy, man. Yeah, you had to work for it, like. Yeah. I remember, like, man, I always tell the funny story. Were you ever a fan of watching Big Bang Theory?
Yeah.
I was Raj with girls
Okay.
until I was about 17.
Okay.
So like I would have not said more than a one-word answer to a female I wasn't related to until I was 17 years old. I was terrified. So
Yeah.
and I was and then I just sort of, I don't know, I grew confidence. Yeah, I grew confidence particularly because of dirt bikes, basically. So
Oh,
I
that
met
makes sense. Yeah.
I met my best friends that are still best friends now through a motorcycle club. And these guys were really fucking cool, they were cool guys, but they were like, took me in as like, this guy's cool,
Yeah.
and it was just, oh my God, I got these cool, awesome friends, and that sort of thing. And it just brought the confidence out of me that I'd never had before.
Yeah.
And
It's
all
weird
the,
how dirt bikes can surpass just more things in life than just riding them, right? Like it can teach you lessons. It can hurt you. There's all different kinds of facets
Mm,
of dirt biking that you can use in your life to help it make it great, or it could go down the shitter as well. So it's depending how you use it. And that's kind of how we raised Aiden. Like he really wasn't interested in riding until he was like 11 years old, and he would
mm,
go the track with me, but he didn't really want to ride. So I didn't push it. But then like, you can see him starting to blossom a little bit, 12, 13, more riding. You got a little bit more confidence. And, all of my friends became his friends. So his
mm.
friend circle was a little older, so yeah, it's just weird how that whole thing comes about as far as just dirt biking and giving you confidence and using that in your daily life. And it's like what we were saying, as far as dating, I was the opposite of you. I was like 14 when I lost my virginity, because I think you look back then, especially in the high desert, maybe where you're from, like there wasn't nothing to do, right? So you get home from school, you did your homework, you went riding, and then basically, if you knew a girl, you would try to go to her house or ride your bicycle to her house, or like you didn't really have nothing to do. You didn't have a phone. You didn't. I mean, you basically were waiting in the mailbox for a cycle news to come every Wednesday, or your motocross action or dirt ride or whatever the hell you got. But there wasn't a lot to do, man.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, I like girls. Let's try to pursue some of those. And that was 14 years old. So, but then of course, as you think you've made it, right? 14. Oh man, I lost my virginity. I'm a freshman in high school. I'm a man. And then the dry spell hits. Like nothing happens until you're a senior. You're just like, oh boy, I am done. I'm gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have the dry spell, man, because I started late, obviously, because I couldn't talk to
Yeah.
girls,
Right.
and so I was, probably late 17 or 18, I suppose. I was probably just 18. I'm trying to think exactly, but yeah.
I got lucky because I had a sister. So when
That's
she was
right. I
older,
remember the story now. Yeah, I remember
so
the
she was
story.
older, so all her
Friend,
friends would come by, and I
yeah,
would like trying to dip in on them. So that's basically how I got a few of my batting order lined up is because of my sister.
yeah. Well, I've got 4 sisters,
Oh
but
shit.
they're all quite a bit older than me. So there was when their friends were around, I was a little kid, so I wasn't even interested.
Right.
But yeah, 4 older sisters. Yeah, they mum and dad they knocked out 4 in 4 years when they first got married, all girls, and then decided another 7 years later to have one more crack at a boy. So
Nice.
I'm glad they did. So
That's awesome. This is the kind of shit I like to talk about. I don't talk I like life subjects and things in life. You get to know someone, and as you know, if you listen to some of the stuff I talk about, I'm more in the human side of things. I like human beings, like good quality human beings, and we talk about dirt bikes a lot. But when you get to know someone besides the dirt bike, layer, it's kind of cool to learn about those people.
yeah, man, that's like one of the reasons that I love listening to you. Like I'm genuinely interested in your testing stuff, but I love it. I love it when you get your friends on the show or your family on the show and you get talking about life stuff because I
Yeah.
like that stuff. Like I'm a I relate to you in the way of I'm a very open talking man. Like
Yeah.
very open. Like I'm an oversharer. Like I'm too open, man. Like I'll tell anyone about anything.
Yeah. Yep.
And sometimes I'm like, sometimes I'll even say, I'm sorry, I'm an oversharer. Like if you ask, I'll tell.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's kind of a running joke. Even like here, like Dark Side's here, Randy Richardson and the guys are here, and we talk about just like, dude, you're just too open, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I just rather you guys know what I'm
yeah,
about, and then I always look at him like you're weird. What do you mean you wouldn't do that? Who cares? Like the jacuzzi talk all the time. You get in the jacuzzi and naked, yeah, man. You have a dick, I have a dick. Like who cares? I'm not there looking at it. Like it doesn't bother me. If we got into the jacuzzi and there's 3 dudes naked, it's not a sexual thing. We're just in there naked. Like I don't look at it like that. Right. And these guys
yeah,
are like, there's no way. Dark Side's like, that's disgusting. Dicks are ugly. And it's just, I'm just like, dude, well, you're looking at it the wrong light. Like, I just don't care,
yeah.
So
It's probably just I know the did you play like mainstream sports where like you're in the shower at the end of the game with fucking 20 blokes? Like
yeah, so I never
it's just
did. I never got into that. Like, but in PE in school, like sometimes there was
right, yeah,
showers in there, and of course, no one did it, right? Like, no one's like, I'm not taking a shower, and I wasn't the only guy in there, so I never did it. But like, I guess as I got older, and maybe it is the dirt bike thing. You just kind of you have more confidence. You're comfortable in your own skin, or maybe it's about getting older and you just don't give a shit anymore. You're just like, whatever, man. This is what I got. Like, I don't really care, So.
yeah. Because I can remember playing football and yeah, man, like the fucking shower was just a whole massive room of taps coming out of the wall, man. And you
Yeah.
just like there'd be like the 2 teams of blokes in there all just fucking dicks out, man. So
Yeah.
it's like
It's just like, yeah, whatever, dude. It's all good, man.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it doesn't stress me out. Doesn't stress me out too much, that sort of thing. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, but then it's like I was saying, man, yeah. So I do relate to that, and one of the reasons I'm so glad to talk to you is I relate to you in a few different ways, man. Like definitely the open talking and that sort of thing, and also too, I love it when you talk about growing up around disability because I had the same thing there. Like so one of my sisters was disabled and growing up around that, and I have a good friend of mine who's disabled as well. So it's something that I certainly relate when you talk about that. It gives you a different perspective on life, especially when you experience disability when you were young. I think so. Yeah.
So for
And,
me, like, my mom was disabled. You know the story, like, and I grew up around that. And it's funny you say that because I just had this conversation with Randy and the guys this morning, as we have my buddy James across the street, and he's disabled, and um, it's like, for me, if I wasn't into motorcycles or testing, I feel like I would be in some kind of field where I would like be a caretaker or help, um, the less fortunate or just disabled people, because having my mom around and taking care of her, I'm just kind of wired that way,
Yeah.
We were talking about, like, Christmas time and getting presents, and I'm not the type of guy I hate getting stuff. Like, I feel awkward when I get a present, or I feel awkward when someone does something for me, because not because I don't appreciate it. It's just, it just feels weird to me. So having guys like James, he's the happiest guy in the world, man. Like, I think I have problems. I think I have stresses and worries. And then you see this kid who is less fortunate in life, but yet he is the happiest guy in the world, and I learn a lot from that, because I'm just like, look at this kid. He can't do certain things that I can do, and I have more capabilities in life than him, but like, he is way happier than I am. Like, he doesn't care. He loves life. It's the little things that he loves. So like, for me, I get inspired and I see these things sometimes, and especially when I come home, I think I have a rough day, and then James cruises over, and then, as us, jaded as we are as human beings, sometimes we're like, oh great, man, James is coming over, like, and then he'll talk to me for 5 minutes and it'll change my
Brightens
whole
up your
day,
day.
right? Because I'm just like, man, look at this. Like, he is not as fortunate as I am, but he just wants to talk bullshit about life or how his day was. And it could be something as easy as trash cans, or he saw a horse or a cement truck or something. And I'm just like, man, it's just it's really inspiring for me to be around people like that. And so when I'm around things that inspire me, I want to be a part of that more. And disabled people or less fortunate people, I have that feeling when I'm around them. And I just think that's a direct reflection from my mom, because she had multiple sclerosis and she was in a wheelchair since I was in kindergarten. So, not to get all philosophical on you, but we do talk about this, is like, I'm not a religious man. And Randy's here, right? And Randy's a religious person. And we talk about these things like, I feel like certain things happen in life and you don't realize what they're about. Like, how the hell can my mom get dealt a bad hand? She got a shitty hand in life, and then some religious people say, oh, God wanted her this. And I'm like, yeah, I don't believe in that. I don't think that is. I just think she just got a shitty hand. Right. But I do believe in the fact that what my mom was like shaped me to the man I am today. And if my mom wasn't disabled, would I be the same person? And the answer to that is, for me, is no, I would not be the same person. So my mom's hardship shaped the human being that I am. And maybe someone down the line, because I am who I am, is going to benefit from the person that I am. And then it just kind of, it flows down into life. Like, a shitty deal, and then someone helps someone else. And it just, it's just kind of like the simple thing of the drive-through. You pay it forward, you pay for the someone behind you, and then that keeps going. And I believe in that that's my religion, is like, treat others like you want to be treated. And then that whole thing will grow, So when I see guys, people that need help, man, I'm drawn to them really quick. And I just think I would love to do that. And I still think about that. I mean, I don't have a lot of extra time, but it's such rewarding feeling for me. Like, I would love to spend some of my free time being around those types of people and helping them, So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love it, man. What you were saying about James, man, it reminded me of my mate Lockie. So he one of my best mates. He was the first one of us boys to have a child, and bouncing baby boy came out, and it wasn't long before they realised that he had some major issues. He had a stroke in the womb, and
Oh, wow.
so he's mentally disabled, and half one side of his body is weak, didn't sort of develop. But this dude, he can fucking do anything, man. Like, it's amazing. His outlook on life, I just love
Yeah.
him. He is like in his 20s now, and he's just one of my best mates. Like,
They don't know any better.
yeah,
And they're just happy with what they
yeah,
got, and then we're given all of these gifts as normal people. And we look at the
Yeah.
negatives, you know. I'm just like, yeah,
He
it's crazy.
he learned to play golf with one arm. He's big thing is fishing. He loves fishing, and he's got like a 3-wheel bicycle with a little rack on it, and he puts his fishing rods
Yeah.
and his tackle boxes in there, and he rides to the river, which is just near my place, which is kind of, I don't know, a mile and a half from his place. He rides there and he goes fishing and all this stuff. He works for, we've got a group here that's like all disabled guys who go around mowing lawns. It's like a business. He works
Mhm.
for that. And then he's also got a side hustle where he chops up his mum and dad bought him a little log splitter. He chops up kindling, puts it in bags, and sells it. You know, and this
Mhm.
guy, and you know, he can do anything. It's
It
amazing.
it makes you realize that a simple life is a
Yeah,
good
man.
life, you know, like no matter what it is. James is the same way. So James, some of the neighbors around here, we pay him $10 a month. He takes our trash out. He brings the trash cans in. When Heather and I were gone and we're going to race, he watches over our house. He brings our mail in. He brings the UPS boxes in. So like and he loves it every day. He's like, hey buddy, we call him because that's what he says. Hey buddy, and we that's James talking.
Yeah,
Hey buddy, Keefer, like what's crazy about James is so when we moved to this house, and we've been here 7 years. We moved in, moving stuff in. James walks across the street. And he's like, "Hey, buddy, I'm James. I'm the neighborhood watch guy." And and I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then it never really dawned on me. And then as Travis Preston and the family were eating dinner one night, and Travis went to school with me as well. And then James knocks on the door, comes in. James stays literally like every time. If he comes by, it's a 10-minute visit and he leaves. That's what I love about James. He doesn't overstay
yeah,
his welcome. He knows, hey, I'm coming in, having a bullshit conversation, and then I bail. And he did that. And Travis is like, you know who that was? And I'm like, yeah, it was James, the neighbor. He's like, no, that was Hey Bud. And Hey Bud in high school was this kid that was special and would walk around, and that's how he would greet, Hey Bud, and that's how he'd walk around. And he's like, that's the kid that you punched. So he's like, that's the kid you stuck up for back in the day in high school. And I'm like, holy shit, it didn't even dawn on me because it's been 20 some years since I seen James, right? So back in high school, the kids, they would have some of the
yeah,
special kids come out and eat
yeah.
lunch with us. And this one guy was throwing food at him. And so I just got up from my table, came in and just started beating the shit out of the kid, broke his nose. And then I got pulled into the principal's office, got suspended. And so long story short, I move into across the street from the same guy I stuck up for in
Yeah.
high school. And I'm just like, holy crap. And then me and Aiden were talking. And I go, I wonder if he even remembers me or he knows that that went down back in high school. And so we're all sitting around with James, me and Aiden, and we're just talking about high school. And I go, yeah, buddy, remember, we used to eat lunch together, trying to see if he kind of remembers without saying anything. And he's like, yeah, buddy, I wanted to tell you this. And, I started thinking, I really wanted to thank you for sticking up for me. I never told you. And he started crying. And I'm just like, dude, I lost my
I'll
shit,
bet.
dude. I
I'll
started
bet.
like,
Yeah.
it hit me hard. And so as together, we think maybe he's not together, but he knows a lot of shit. And I'm just like, wow, it's just a cool story, man.
Yeah, I can remember my mum would always say that my sister, she knew a lot more than she let on. Yeah, that's what she used to
Right.
say. She knows what's going on. Don't
Yeah.
worry. So
Yeah, we think, they don't know what's going on, but James knows what's going on. Even when Heather looks good, she's going out. Hey, buddy, where's Heather going? She looks good today. I'm like, oh, James, you're in there. I see you, buddy.
nice, nice, man. Yeah, that's it. That's awesome. Yeah, and always remember, man, my part in my disabled sister. We lost her a few years ago, but I remember, talking at the funeral and that, and I said, like, the part I played instinctively was to make her laugh as much as I could, because I was the little brother
Yeah.
and I didn't really understand what the fuck was going on, for a start,
Right.
and then I gradually I just learnt, and it was just it was just normal to have her around. She was part of life,
Yeah.
and I don't know, I instinctively just tried to make her laugh all the time, and yeah, we had a totally different relationship to the other siblings, whereas they were more like, oh, caring and all that sort of thing. Whereas I'd fucking play jokes on her and everything. Like it was a real like anything to make her laugh, or sometimes she'd even make her angry, but then she'd laugh because she'd realize it was a joke and that sort of thing. So
Yeah. It's life's crazy, man. It's you never know what's going to happen or what you get dealt, and then when you think you're in the shitter, later on in life it slaps you back in the face and it realizes that you learned something and it wasn't so much as shitty as you like. It's I guess it's just part of getting older now, and yeah, it's really
it gives you a
crazy.
massive perspective, man. I'm really big on perspective, and I
Yeah.
sort of I guess I'm a just with my backstory, which is long. Um, I talk about mental health a lot because I've had a lot of struggles with that in my life, and
Yeah.
I don't anymore. So and I've gained a lot of knowledge because of that, and I informally help people a lot. I don't know. It's almost
Yeah.
like people are drawn to ask me for help sometimes. It's a weird thing, but I love that. Like my two great passions is helping people mentally,
Mhm.
and moto. That's it. And I'm not sure which one I love the most, honestly, but yeah. So that's
Those are two good things in life,
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah, that's what makes it awesome, like both of those are equal. Those feelings that you get. You do something right on a dirt bike, you rip a corner, you do a jump, that feeling. You help someone get through something, same feeling. Like,
yeah,
yeah, it's all about feelings, I think. And once you have those feelings, you want to try to keep doing those,
yeah. And yeah, perspective is one of the pillars that I tell people, man. Like perspective. Yeah, you think about when something's getting to you, think about the worst thing that's happened in your life, and compare that, or you compare it to others, and that sort of thing. And
Right.
I've got a whole speech on that stuff. Yeah, I love
I
that
think
sort of
it's
stuff.
yeah, it's perspective and then sympathy as
Yeah,
well. Like you got to have some sympathy for things that are harder than your life too. You're like, man, I know how hard that was for me. I can imagine what it's like for that person. So just or empathy, just
yeah,
something, like a little bit goes a long way. And that's kind of what I've learned over the years is just like I don't really judge. I'm guilty of judging someone before I know them. I do that all the time. But then I kind of step back and I go, okay, wait, I don't know that person yet. Let me
yeah.
take a step back and learn a little bit more, and then I can make my own assessment of what this is going on. So,
Judgment's a difficult one,
um,
man. Like
yeah,
I sort of, I guess, just to make it brief, my I was a mental fucking and physical complete fucking shit show in my mid 30s, right? Really, really bad as it gets, and I was lucky enough to figure out how to turn my life around, and ever since I started on the upward trend, I constantly try and get better and better and better physically. Like right now, like I'm 48, I'm the fittest I've ever been in my life, and the definitely the mentally best. And I kind of treat it like a second life, and
yep,
so I've had a second chance. Well, I really have had a second chance. And so that's with that second chance, I keep adding things like, okay, now I'm really good with this, I need to do this. And one of the things I probably only just 2 years ago, I reckon, I was like, because I get pretty deep in thought and deep in learning things, and I was like, I've got to stop judging people, and that was got onto my
yep.
list. And geez, I'm not perfect, but I'm nearly there. And it was so hard, man. It was one of the hardest things, to not judge.
It's still hard for me too,
Yeah,
man. Like I live in a Sperry, right? So there's a lot of piece of
yeah,
shits that live around me, right? And once you see a lot of it, you just assume a person looks like that, they're immediately a piece of
yeah,
shit, right? And I have to watch myself sometimes because I've been blown away more than on a few
yeah,
occasions that on the outside maybe it doesn't look great. But then I start talking to him like, fuck, man, I feel
Yeah.
bad because I even had those thoughts, you know? So like, I try to watch out, you know, a little bit for that. And I'm guilty of it still. I do it. I still do it,
Do,
but I'm like you, I'm aware of it
do
now,
you
you know?
you get a have you met some really cool people through not judging? That's what I've found. I've found where when I haven't judged, and I've met and talked to some really cool people that I never would have
Yeah.
given the time of day because of how they looked. It's
Yeah,
crazy, and
absolutely.
I'm guilty of judging down and judging up. So judging up is even harder one because I always looked at like rich people as like, look at this motherfucker with his fucking all this shit.
Yeah.
He probably fucking stole it,
Yeah.
ripped someone off, all that, all that sort of stuff. And now it's like, no, that's not. Don't judge up or down. That's
Yeah, I never looked at it like that, but you're right. Yeah, you do judge up, and you think that because someone has more than you that they're
yeah.
privileged, right? Oh,
Or
that
they're
guy, you know, he didn't have to work for his money or
dodgy,
something, you
daddy's
know?
money,
So,
all these different things go through your mind. Well, you don't fucking know. Some people,
yeah.
some rich people are dicks, some poor people are dicks, but you can't judge. You don't know. You've got to get to know the person. So yeah, it is.
And it's funny because that's how we raise Aiden, man. Like all of these conversations we're having right now, these are the conversations we have internally at home. Like every time, like only time Aiden gets yelled at or he's in trouble is because he did something wrong of how he should be in life. You know, like, hey, you're not supposed to do
Yeah.
that. Don't be that fucking dude. Like that is douchey. Like, don't do that. Like that's when Aiden gets in trouble. Like, so all of these things are just like the most important things in our
Mm,
family. Everything else is secondary. I don't give a shit about your racing, whatever. Like for me, obviously, you're going to get somewhere in life because someone
mm,
likes you, right? And in this day and age, it's who you
mm,
know, right? So if you are true to yourself and you're a good human being, other humans want to be a part of that, and that's how
yeah.
I am. So a lot of things that I have jobs that I have got in my life is because someone connected with me somehow. We're similar people or they liked what
Mm,
I'm about. And then I got a job and I was good at my job. But first and foremost is I fucking like Kris. I think he's a good fucking dude. I want to be a part of what he's doing. And then also he works his ass off. But like you want to be a part of good people. And that's the basis of everything in life. I feel like if you are a good human being, you'll be able to create a life for yourself, you
mm.
know?
Yeah. That's it. I love what you're saying about your kids, man. I'm blown away by by particularly my daughter, um, how much my kids know about life just because myself and their mother tell them, like because we're so
Yeah.
open talking. Like my wife's not an open talking woman. It's funny. It's like we've got this role reversal thing going. Like she's like closed, like blokes usually are, and I'm the open one. I'm always the one trying to open her up. But when we're talking to the kids, with her kids, she's open though, just not anywhere else.
Yeah.
So the handle, I guess, that my kids have on life, and even my son, who is disabled, not he's got like a mild, like a mid-level autism. So he has a lot of challenges, but um, not compared to like what my sister had or your mother had or my friend Lockie has or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, the handle they have on life and who they are and people skills, My daughter's her people skills and her strength in that. The
Street
strength in
smarts.
that is it's amazing, man. Like, I can't believe.
It's funny
Yeah,
because Aiden has friends that come over, or I'm around kids a lot, right? Being around
yeah,
moto, and the kids come over the house and like, dude, your parents are so like different than my
yeah,
parents because, like we said, we're just open and we're just talkative. And if Aiden has a question about taboo or something like sex or whatever, it's like we just
yeah,
talk about it. And his friends like, dude, your fucking mom and dad is like, I've never had that conversation with my dad
yeah,
ever. And they're like, "Dude, that's insane." My Aiden's like, "Yeah, man, I don't know. It's just like how I grew
yeah.
up. Like, that's how we are, you know." And I look at other kids, and and how they act with their parents. And I'm like, dude, that's a direct reflection of how you're getting parented, like some of the disrespect that I hear in their voices and around the track. And I'm like, ooh, if Aiden was like that to me, or if I was like that to my dad, I would be getting my ass
Yeah,
whooped. Like,
yeah,
and I'm still a believer, like, oh, I don't hit my kids. I'm like, well, that's not how we roll around here, dude. Aiden did something bad. He's getting his ass
yeah.
whooped. And then that taught me something else growing up. And I think some of that has gone
Mm.
away. I'm not beating the shit out of Aiden, but he's gonna get his ass whooped, if he's screwed up back in the day, and he didn't want to do it again. Like, I'm scared of dad.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that. But also I'm open enough to, like, let's have a conversation of why you're in trouble. I'm just not gonna smack your ass and walk away. You did something wrong. Like, here's the
mm.
reasons why. And it was always a big conversation. And I remember growing up, I would be in trouble and I would sit there and listen to my dad. And I'd be like, fuck, man, my dad's talking to me for 45 fucking minutes. When is this fucking conversation going to end? Yeah, okay, I'm in trouble. I get it. And I'm like, okay, dad, yeah, I understand it. But I'm older now. I'm talking to Aiden, and life slaps me in the face. You're your fucking dad,
Yeah,
Kris. You're talking 50 fucking minutes to Aiden about the same shit. And I could see the deer in the headlights with Aiden's like, after 30 minutes, he's just like, okay, fuck, man. I get it. But like, that's part of parenting. And I see that. And like, okay, Aiden's going to be, it's going to get together when he's in his 20s, because I didn't start really getting it till my late 20s, early 30s, and he's more advanced at 18 than I was at 18. Like, he's getting it, because I think it's a direct reflection of me and Heather. Same thing for your kids. I think they're going to look back when then they're in their 30s, and we're going to be dead and gone, and they're going to be like, yep, I understand now. I get it. I understand what my dad was
yeah.
telling me about,
Yeah,
so
I think about that with my dad still. My old boy, he's still around. He's still kicking, and like there's every day probably. I think, geez, that just sounded like Mick. So
yeah,
it's crazy,
yeah,
and there's something. Yeah, you're right. There's something to be said for discipline, man. I was a mostly well behaved kid. And But yeah, there was a few times, man, where I got taught some sharp lessons, man, that stuck with me for life, like, and it
yeah,
was big. My parents were huge on it, just like me and my wife are. The biggest things is just sort of your basic morals and right and wrong and honesty. Honesty was paramount in my home growing up. That was
yes,
that
sir,
was number one, and it still is with me. And I remember I tell the
yes,
story.
sir.
I was at a it was like we had some sort of a fun thing at the schoolyard, this nighttime thing with bit of a mini fair sort of thing, or I can't remember what it was for. And I was told to be home at a certain time, and
Mm-hmm.
I was having so much fun that I concocted this story I was going to tell. This is probably like third grade. This story I'm going to tell, that I lost my watch and I didn't know what time it was. What a dumb story, right? But then I came home with a watch, of course, and I came home, and that's all I'd done wrong was I was home 20 minutes, half an hour late, whatever it was. It wasn't huge late, but it was like we were playing a game or something, and it was fun. And the old man straight away, he just fucking tore strips off me for lying to him, and he cancelled my birthday party. That was it. Just right
Yeah,
there and then, it's like your birthday party's done. And which was devastating at that age. I had to tell all my friends, "Oh, my party's off. You can't come around," and all that.
that
But that fucking sorted me out, man. It would have definitely been the last time I ever lied to my parents. That was the first and last, I'd say. Yeah.
yeah. So same thing for me. I mean, honesty was the thing. And I wasn't, I lied to my dad a lot because I thought I could get away with a lot because my mom was disabled, so I was young, not sneaking out and stuff, but just doing I just lied about dumb shit. Feeding the dog. Did you feed the dog? Yep. And he'd go out there, dog's bowl's empty, comes back in, gives me another chance. Did you feed the dog? Yep. Are you sure? Yep. I would lie to the death. And then my dad would beat my ass. Why did you lie to me? It would have been easier to just tell me you forgot or you didn't. And I did that for many years growing up. And then my dad would say, you know what? it hurts me way more than it hurts you. Like I'm doing this, and I was like, whatever. You know what the fuck are you talking about? You're jacking me up. How does it hurt you more? You know.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
that I'm older, have a kid,
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
Like when your kids lie to you, it fucking hurts because you give them every opportunity. Just tell me what's up. You know, be open and honest with me. And now I get it. Yep. So that was honesty and shaking a man's hand. You shook a man's hand, you looked him in the eye, and you know, you told him what's up, you know. Hey, I got a special
Yeah,
guest
man.
for you. Just came in
Nice.
here. Come in here, buddy. Come over here. Put these headphones on. This is James.
James.
Come here. Hold on. Sit right here. Tell this guy's name's Steve.
What's going on, Steve?
I'm just talking to your friend Kris, and I'm pleased to meet you, James. I hear you're.
Thank you. I got to keep this guy in line because you never know with him. He can get off track sometimes. He can get on track, and well, you never know with him. So I got to keep him in the going. You know how
Yeah,
that
got
is.
to keep him in line. That's it. Sometimes people have to keep me in line too. Yeah, that's
Yep.
it. Yeah.
I was telling about what you do for all of us around the neighborhood. You empty the trash.
I'm the neighborhood
Yeah.
guy, neighborhood handyman, the concrete guy, and matter of fact, I'm going to team up with Highgrave this weekend and probably do some job sites and go to some parties and over there and barbecue and hang out with them for a little bit, interview them.
Yeah.
I even got his.
Yeah. I'm a handyman too, James. That's my business.
You are, so we got to hang out together,
That's
buddy, and
it.
keep each other in line.
That's it. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll hope to meet. I hope to
Yep,
meet you
so-
one day. I'm in Australia, James, so a long way away. But I have visited California once, and I hope to visit there again. So, yeah,
Okie dokie. I will let Chris give you my number so we can keep in touch with each other and I can text you some stuff. And
absolutely,
we can
man.
see what we can
I
do.
love new friends, James. Love new friends.
Have a good weekend. Have a nice to meet you and have a good rest of the
Great
day,
to meet
buddy.
you too, James. Thank you, man.
James Fernandez off the air.
No worries.
Later, buddy. All right, that was
That's
James.
fantastic.
He's in and
Yeah,
out, man. Doesn't stay long.
I love it.
That's why I love
I
him.
love it. Yeah.
He knows he's like, I'm gonna hear him talking to Steve. Got my point across.
Yeah,
I'm out.
Yeah, that's it. That's made my day, man. That's really cool. I love it. I love it, man. Yeah. Cool, man. Cool. Awesome.
Well, I mean, we could just talk about life shit the whole show. Fuck the motorcycles.
Well, man, yeah. The show's very organic, man. You know, the show's very organic, and I like talking about
How long you been doing it?
the show. So, the show is about a year and a half. Save me working out exact months like I was trying to. About a year and a half.
I mean, you did a show with Aiden last year,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So this show 75 of the main show, and the amateur show, which is bit shorter. I think we've done 10 of those. Yeah, and Aiden was one of those. And
Nice.
then we've done a few other things, like we've done a few race reviews, and I've tried different things, you know. But like sort of what I love is I love the stories of people. So that's kind of what the show is mostly. Most of the episodes of the show or the main show, it's me one-on-one just talking about stories of people, you know. And
That's cool. Yeah,
and
I like that.
we get
That's
into life stuff and that sort of thing if the guest is open, you know, like because definitely I am, you know, so
Yeah, I think it's just more relatable, right? Like people can connect, you know, that way a little bit more.
Yeah.
And
And before this
good.
show, I did a few other things. I helped out Dark for a few years, you know. So
That's what he said.
I was
Yeah. Dark needs a lot of help though.
Dark,
Fuck, man.
Actually, Dark's doing the wrap-up show notes was probably the first thing I ever did where I was involved with someone else, you know. But because previous to that, I was just doing Instagram stuff, trying to just get involved a bit, and then I helped out Dark, and then I helped out the Moto Limited guys for a while. I think you've met.
Yep, I met those guys.
Helped out them for a while and doing things around Australia, and I'm a writer. I love writing, which is an unusual thing that I have in a lot of everyone wants to be a photographer and a podcaster, but no one wants to write. I love writing probably the most, man. So, uh,
It's
yeah,
therapeutic.
I love it. I love writing. I used to write stories that no one would read because, I don't have, I have very few moto friends just because of where I live, you know. So my
Yeah.
wife would read my moto stories, even though she didn't really know what was going on, just to, so someone read it. And then I started writing for Moto Limited. People really liked it, and nowadays I write for Main Event Moto. So yeah, and that's something that I really like doing, man. So yeah, but
I'm the same way. Like I know it's kind of old school. Not a lot of people read much anymore, but still for me, writing tests is a therapeutic for me. I can really think about it, and sometimes when I speak and I do my show, like my brain is working faster than my mouth can talk, and then like I forget some things, you know. So that's what I'm a big proponent of writing stuff down. You can ask my family. I got notes
yeah,
everywhere. I got in my closet. I got stacks of notes from testing from 20 years ago. Like I just write everything
yeah,
down.
I'm
You
a
know.
big note taker, man. Crazy note taker. Like I got 4 pages here, and I'll probably use one page of it. It's just like, but like I
Yeah.
just right. I'm like to be prepared, and I've got notes on this and notes on that, and books, and like I'm a big, and even that, and that's pen to paper. I'm still like something about putting pen to paper when I do stories for Main Event or whatever. Like I'm typing that out because you got to be a bit professional, but I've still got shit written on paper everywhere, man. So it's kind of
Yep.
something about that actual the act of that, man. And same with reading, man. I listen to audio books because of time, man. We're fucking busy, but there's nothing
Yeah. I'm
that
the
I
same.
love.
I'd like to
Oh,
read more.
the
Usually,
best.
I have like a book that I really want to read. Like the last one I read was Dave Grohl's autobiography. I read
Yeah,
that, and I really like that. But like it for me, when I go to bed, I'll read, and then honestly, that puts me to sleep.
yeah.
I'll read a few pages and go to sleep.
Man, I haven't read any of my books since I flew home from California, and that was it actually made those long ass flights enjoyable
Yeah,
because I was like I had a chance to just sit and read, and I fucking loved that.
yeah,
Except one
yes,
of them
sir.
was a night flight, so where you can't fucking so you're in the dark. So then I was
Yeah.
watching movies because like I'm not a TV guy, man. I'm not good at sitting down. Yeah.
Oh shit, I love it. Me and my wife got too many damn fucking shows that we watch at night. So
What's your
it
go-to show at the moment? What are you watching?
oh man, there's a lot. So of course Yellowstone. We love Yellowstone. That's
Yeah.
done. We watch up on Apple TV Shrinking. There was a new one called Lioness that was
Oh
really
yeah,
good.
I've seen it. Yeah, I see bits, and my
Yeah.
wife and my daughter, huge at watching series. So I see
Yep.
bits and pieces of lots of them, and there's been like maybe 6 or 7 ever where I've watched the whole thing, but I've seen a bit of
Yep.
Lioness. Yeah, yeah, yep,
Lioness was really
yeah,
good.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll just go on Netflix every once in a while, like on Friday night, Saturday night, and just see what's up. And then we end up getting sucked into these shows, and then pretty soon we're in bed until 2 in the morning watching 6 fucking episodes, and yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I know. Yeah, that's happened a few times with me and my wife. But yeah, we have very different taste in shows usually, but every now and again it'll line up where it's like, oh, I actually like this one's good, and then
yeah,
I'll get sucked in, and then she'll get annoyed because she can knock out on her day off, man. She can knock out 10 episodes easy. Whereas I'm like, I struggle with two, So I was like, oh, can you wait for me to watch the next
yeah. If
one?
it's good, I can knock out 10. Like if I have a day, like okay, I ain't doing shit, I'm chilling. It has to be really good show, and it hasn't been one like that in a long time. Like last time I did that was the show called Oz, which was a HBO series about just being in prison. And yeah, me and Casey Johnson used to live with
Oh,
me
yeah,
back in the
yeah,
day, and that's what we used to do. We used to sit there all fucking day and watch this
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
So
yeah. I think the last TV series that I watched all of was Ray Donovan. I really liked that. That was a
oh
good
wow,
show. They're like, the
yeah, yeah,
Boston gangster guy, and that
yep.
was a cool show. I don't mind a bit of that sort of stuff, a bit of mobster violence and all that sort of all that sort of good stuff, man.
Yep.
That's it. But yeah, movies. Watched a few movies on that flight and that sort of thing, and that was different too, man. But yeah, I can't even remember what I watched, but yeah, usually for me, man, it's like I pretty much just it's moto all the time. Like I've always got a YouTube thing I need to watch, or like it's just like when I'm not on the
Yep.
tools, I'm on the moto stuff. So yeah.
Yep.
About the only thing I get into obviously like mental stuff, like interested in psychology and all that sort of stuff. I'm always learning stuff about that. That's probably the main other thing I get into, and a bit of history, and usually sometimes history about psychology as well. So all
Yep.
that sort of stuff. Yeah, that all that sort of stuff's very interesting to me, man. Yeah. Righto, time for an ad read. Guts Racing. Greg's Ultra Trick Seats, gutsracing.com. That is a really easy website to remember. Gutsracing.com. As used by Jordan Smith, 2 podiums in a row, hey? Team Triumph. Along with Rockstar Husqvarna, Rockstar Gas, Hep Suzuki, Club MX, Phoenix Honda, MCR Honda. Geez, the list just goes on and on. And privateer heroes like Scott Meshy, who says they are a butt gripper and they will make you a ripper. What can you get from Guts Racing? You can get, obviously, seat covers. You can also get complete seats, seat bases, seat foams, the ultralight seat foam, custom seats with wide wings, with bumps, tall seats in 2 different sizes. You can get a huge range of colors. You can even get a Velcro fitment seat cover. If you tackle the job with a traditional staple gun, though, don't fear that, because your seat cover will come with a QR code that you scan, and that will take you to a video where you'll probably see the man himself, Auntie Greg, there showing you the best way to install that seat cover. How is that for amazing surface? Guts Racing. Gutsracing.com. That's a really easy website to remember. Get around it. Right, let's get back to Kris Keefer and see what more about life we can discuss. Cheers.
Yeah, like I'm around dirt bikes so much, and I do so much work, and so for me, when I get to disconnect a little
Yeah.
bit, it's kinda nice for a little
Yeah.
while, but I don't last very long either, man. Like, I'll tell Heather, "I'm burned out, I'm fucking over it, like, I need a break," and then, I try to take myself a break. Usually, I'll get 1 big break, and that's the holidays, like, I'll try to take 2
Yeah.
weeks, but, it lasts 3 days, and then I'm pinging, and I wanna go ride, or I wanna do something. She's like, You're
Yeah.
impossible," and I'm like, "I understand that, like, I get it."
Yeah. I'm a terrible holidayer. Yeah. Unless it's got to be all go, like we like the Aussie tradition thing, man, is to you have a like we call them a caravan, but I guess you guys just call them a trailer. And you'll have it, and we'll have
Yeah.
that on the back of the ute or the 4-wheel drive, and you go away and you park your trailer at a caravan park, and that's the real Aussie traditional holiday. Traditional sort of middle
Okay,
class holiday. So
okay.
our trailer parks are more. There is trailer parks where people live that are like dodgy, cheap ones.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there's trailer parks that are really nice that where you'll pull up your motorhome. We don't have a lot of motorhomes. It's nearly all, I think, ones that are towed.
Yep.
And that'll have the pool and everything and all that there, and it'll be in a nice spot and all that. But yeah, we'll go to a few of those when the kids were littler, and because the kids outgrew the caravan I've got. But we'd go to those, and my wife and kids would have the deck chairs out, and they'd be in the pool and lazing about and all that. And I could do that for like a day, and then I'll be like, I'd have some tools. I'd be tightening up some things on the caravan, checking screws on things, and then I'd be like on the bicycle, on the push bike. I'm going for a ride, and I just fuck off for a couple of hours. Anyone want to come?
Yeah.
No, we're just relaxing, and I'd be out exploring shit and finding fucking wild animals and shit on my mountain bike, and just
Yeah,
I can't sit
we're the
still.
same way. Like when Heather and I want to go on a vacation, but at least, we get other people that want to go on vacation. And I'm like, well, as long as you're
Yeah,
active, we're okay. But if you just want to chill on a beach for 4 days, I'm like, I'm just not wired that
yeah,
way.
yeah,
I can't just chill. So we need to have like an itinerary. Here's our vacation. Here's what we're doing. This is what we're gonna go do.
yeah,
So I can sit around a little bit, but then I'm like you, like a day, 2 days maybe. But then after that, dude, we better have some fucking shit to do because I'll be
yeah, yeah.
pinging.
I've
So
got a lot of friends in that, and like I drink. I love a beer, but I I don't want to do it all the time. Like
yeah,
if I'm on holidays and we're somewhere nice and it's sunny and there's pool or whatever, and I might have a lot of beers that day, but then I don't want to do that the next day, you know. Um,
right. Yep.
that's done, Yeah, I had some beers, that was fun, but whereas a lot of my friends and that they'll just drink like that every day, and that'll be their holiday. Whereas to me, I feel like I'm almost wasting time or wasting energy. Like, no, I want to feel better so I can be more active. I don't want to feel a bit
Yeah.
hungover or a bit seedy or whatever. I want to bounce up in the morning and do shit.
Yeah, that's why Dark Side hates staying here because I make him exercise with me all the time and he hates it. Like I say, hey, we're gonna go on a ride. Oh, I gotta do this. I'm like, you have an hour and a half to go exercise. Oh, I don't know, Michael, blah blah blah. I'm like, fine. I'll just call Michael Lindsay on the phone. Hey man, your guy says he can't go anywhere because he's doing work. Can he go on a fucking bicycle ride for me for 2 hours? Yeah, I don't care. Like whatever. And then Dark's like, oh god, and he just bitches the whole time.
Yeah, man. I nowadays, man, I don't buy lotto tickets, but if I got rich suddenly, I would exercise like a motherfucker, man. I would be fucking shredded, like, because I love it, but I'd love to have more time to exercise. But,
My problem is I love exercising, but I eat like shit.
yeah, yeah, that's a hard one, man. That is a hard one.
Like, I don't eat enough. That's one of my big like, I just don't eat
Yeah,
enough, right? Because 'Cause I'm testing all day, I'm riding, and then my friends go to me like, "I don't know how you just go all day without eating." I go, "I'm just wired like I'm like a
yeah,
cactus, like, I don't need much. Just give me a little bit, and I'm good." Like, sometimes when I eat during the day, I'm worse off,
yeah.
so, for me, like, I'll have maybe Heather will cook breakfast, sometimes not, I'm not a big
Mm.
breakfast guy, but, like, snacks, I'll have, like, fruits and vegetables or just some egg whites, and then but at dinner, man, I'm like, I wanna get some fucking shit down, I like a fat cheeseburger every once in a while, and then that's not great because you eat that, you're like, "Okay, let's go to bed." You're like, "Oh, shit."
Yeah, yeah. Oh, but yeah, you're all like we'd say, you're like a drover's dog, man, all dick and ribs. Yeah, you've always been like that, built like that.
I've always been dick and ribs, man, like, never really got big. I was like my mom. My mom was built that way. She was pretty lean especially for being disabled, man, like, she didn't get that
Mm,
big. It's crazy, and my dad's a little bit more short and stocky, but I'm just way too active, I feel
mm.
like, just to get fat, just because I don't sit around that much,
Yeah, yeah. When I was, when my mental health wasn't good, my crutch was eating, man. So some people's drinking, some people it's drugs, whatever. Mine was eating, and I got
Yep.
real fat, and yeah, man, and I've been behaving myself for a long time now, um, but and I'm still trying to lose the last sort of bits of weight, like I I get
That's
annoyed
awesome.
sometimes, man, because um, even when I really take care of my health now, man, and I go to do all this shit, and I always say to people, like, I'm not your normal 48-year-old. Like, I'm trying to be my best self here, like that's what I'll say to medical people, and I'll say I'm fitter than I look, and sometimes I got to tell them the shit I do because I've still got, I still got a bit of man boob and a bit of a gut. That's just this residual from when I was a big fat guy. It's
Yeah,
hard to
yeah,
lose that, super hard to lose that last bit.
yeah.
And like I remember a doctor telling me, oh, about exercise, and I'd be like, dude, I cycled 300 Ks last week, and he's like,
Right,
oh, okay, because yeah, that's one of
right.
my goals, man. I know you love goals, man. Yeah, that's one of my goals is I want to be able to rip my shirt off out at the lake. We're not near the coast, but we got a lot of lakes, and just feel good. Just look on the outside like I feel on the inside. That's what I want.
Yeah, no,
That's
I
my
get
physical
that.
goal.
Like
Yeah.
I'm the same way. Like I'm skinny, but Amart Amart always says, "Oh, Kiefer, you're skinny fat. You're skinny fat." I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about? What the hell is skinny fat?" He's like, "Yeah, you're skinny, but you're still loose." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I can see that." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, no, that's good." Because then I'll hunch over and I'll feel my fat. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm skinny fat." So that's the running joke now. Is like I'm just skinny fat.
Yeah. That's it, man. What's your goals at the moment, man? What's your 25 goals?
That's funny you say that, Steve. I'm kind of lost, honestly. I preach about that on the show, and I'm figuring that out for myself. So what I've learned, and I've learned this the last maybe 2 years. Love dirt bikes. It's my job. Aiden, I think, has kept me afloat as far as being motivated and doing the things that I want to do off of working time, right? When Aiden is hurt or Aiden's not riding, my motivation goes down a little bit. So I didn't realize how much I needed Aiden and vice versa, but like how much I needed my kid to motivate me or how much he has been motivating for X amount of years. So Aiden just recently got hurt again. So he had ACL pop on him last week. So he just had ACL surgery. So he went straight from his shoulder to the ACL. So we're kind of going through it right now. But like for me, that's something that Heather and I talked about the other day. She's like, "What's your goals?" And I'm like, it's tough because I've done Loretta's, vet nationals. I've done all these things. And I want to do something different. And that's kind of what I was at last year. I want to do a hare and hound. I did that, back to my roots a little bit. So this year I have to, since I'm part of Triumph and doing all their production testing, the 450 has come out. So I'm going to be racing the Triumph this year in a lot of races. I'm just trying to figure out what those are. And so for me, I think I'm going to mix my goals up a little bit. I'm still going to go Loretta's because Aiden will be able to do that. So that'll be good. And then for me, like, I think doing something different next month, I'm going to go do some ice racing in Michigan.
Nice.
I'm going to go do that. So I think for me, it's just trying new things that I haven't done or revisiting some stuff that I used to grew up, racing, doing back in the day.
Yeah.
So instead of going to the vet nationals this year at Glen Helen, I'm going to go to Etchiconee because Matt Walker's doing a vet race. So just, I think that's going to be my goal this year, just to try a bunch of different kind of shit.
Yeah. That's the way. Would you have a goal that's not to do with riding?
I don't. Dude, I'm one dimensional. Steve and I were talking about the other day. It's pretty sad. Like, I'm only good at one thing, and I'm only good at riding a dirt bike. So I envy some of my other friends. I have a friend named Dallas Dunn, another friend named Dana Van Stee. Like, they're just good at a lot of shit. They like to doing a lot of things, and I just don't like doing a lot of other stuff. Like, I like to work. I like to ride my bike, and I like to ride my bicycle, but even like my bicycle or my working out is more geared mentally towards my riding, right? So I can be in shape to go ride my dirt bike. So as far as goals for me, everything is motorcycle driven because that's what gets me going. That's the only thing I really like to do. So, yeah. So as far as like other things, no, there's nothing like that. It's good that my wife, she goes to the gym. She does a lot of those things. So she has some goals that are like off-centered from dirt bikes, which is kind of nice. Those kind of become my goals. Like, I want her to succeed in those. So like, yeah, for me, I kind of use my off the bike stuff towards Heather.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I usually have, three or four. Usually have 3 or 4 going, and I've always 3 or 4 are kind of this year goals. And then I usually have a long-term goal as well. And I get what you mean by the lost, man, because I reached my last long-term goal like way earlier than expected, which was the getting to America. And I did it in 4 years. It was a 10-year plan. I did it in 4 years. And then after I come home from there, I was like a bit lost. I was like, what's my next big
right?
thing?
Like,
I can't
what do I want to do?
believe that I made that happen. Because not to complain or anything, but like within my things I fucked up in life, financial was in there as well. So man, so that there's been recovery from that. And I, when I started my first Instagram account, it was basically I wanted to just get to know some like-minded people, and that was basically it. Because I'm a lonely moto guy here, and and that worked. But then people loved the site, and then I had some of my heroes contact me and like my posts, and it all just sort of grew. I can remember I was having a bad day at work once, and I got a DM from Jim Holly. Tell you, that turns your day around. I was like, what the fuck
Jim's
is
awesome,
going on? And and that sort of thing, because he was just I did I remember that was a funny thing. I was out doing laps on my shitty practice track, and I had to stop to clear an echidna off the track. I don't know if you know what an echidna is, but they're a little Australian animal. They are kind of like they're one of my favorite animals. They're fucking awesome. They're kind of like they're like a porcupine, but about the size of a football. But the spikes are like thick and fucking hard as shit. So they're a little spiky little fucker. And yeah, I nearly ran him over, and I stopped, and like, I love animals, man. So like, I got him off the track, and then I thought, I'll get my phone out, and I did a little video about him. I did a bit of fucking video stuff about him, and I took him way off the track and let him go and that sort of thing, and I just posted that on Insta. And Uncle Jim was like, Steve, what sort of animal is that? And I was like, oh my God, I remember how much that made water. And now, now Uncle Jim's my friend. He's been on the show, and it's all like, amazing stuff. Cool. But anyway, I ended up getting to America, and in the 4 years and all that. And I sort of had the goal was to get to America and just meet anybody in the industry in 10 years. And the first day there was just straight to the B&B to sleep. But the next day I went to GH and to meet up with Toolman Dan Colvin. And basically I got out of my shitty van that I hired and shook Dan's hand, and that was my 10-year plan. I was like, I've come to America and met somebody in the industry, and it was like this tick for me. I was like, wow, okay. And then I enjoyed the trip, and once I got home, I was like, fuck, what's my next goal? So that was my long termer, man. But at short terms, I usually have like a physical thing. I've got this running goal at the moment, but I keep, I was a good runner when I was a young bloke, so I was fit and everything when I was young, and I was a good runner, and I was trying to get back into running, but I've also got a dodgy knee and a dodgy ankle from moto. But
that'll do it. Moto was not good on parts. I'll tell you that
I'm pretty good at cycling. I love cycling. I do plenty of that. I've had lots of physical goals with cycling and that. So running, and I usually sometimes I usually have like a family goal, something that revolves around the family. And then something with my moto stuff, this podcast or whatever I'm doing, doing. And then I don't have too many moto goals as far as riding nowadays, because I kind of come to the realization that I'm just not very good, man. But I still ride.
It takes consistency. That's the thing. Like, it takes time, and not a lot of people have time to try to get better, because dirt biking's hard, man. To be good on a motocross bike, it's hard. And when you look like you're not trying, that's how hard it is. That's what I try to tell people. Like, if you see a guy that makes it look easy, that's how fucking hard it really is, because he worked his ass off to make it look like that.
I try and do one race a year. That sort of just to keep in, so don't stop. But I ride a lot just for fitness, because I like to keep the bike fitness up. Like one of my old mates, he calls me the ninja, because he reckons I'm so fit and all this sort of stuff. I'm not. I'm just compared to him, because he'll be having a ciggy he'll be having a cigarette before he goes out.
That's awesome.
And big guts and all that sort of thing. And I'll be like mixing supplements and electrolytes, It's like,
Yeah, that'll do it too. Like you got some guy that's out of shape, fat, smoking cigs, and he smokes you. You're like, God, dude, what in the hell am I doing? And you're trying to do everything right.
we're a good pair though, man. Like we have races here called Pony Express, which is I don't know. I don't think that's a thing in the States, really, is it? But basically, it's a cross country, but it's a tag team of riders. So simple as that, and it's usually just a team of two, and you'll usually have like all your normal classes, but and we did one there a couple of years ago. I was 47, he was 53, so we were 100. And the oldest class was over 80, so we were 100.
Okay. Oh shit!
Nice. And so we went out, and it was like, and he used to be fast as shit. Like he was fast as shit. And back in his day, and it was like, all right, you got the start, you got the pace, man. Like so, and then I'll carry the laps, and then you bring it home. That was the plan. Like, I might have to take some extra laps because my first lap is the same as my last lap. And, you can do, like I could ride for hours, man. But yeah, no, I've got no sort of, I don't have pace. That's all. I don't have pace. I fit on the bike. There's no pace, but yeah.
Yeah. It's hard, man. Been doing it for a long time. And I still learn something all the time when I ride. So it's one of the things that keeps me coming back to it. It's just because I think that trying to get better it's such small increments now. You get to a certain level and then it gets really difficult, and that's what I like about it, because it's just super hard to perfect and do, and then you think you have it and then you screw it up. I guess it's kind of like golf. I'm not a golf guy, but I would imagine it's similar to that. And and for all these guys like, oh, I'm older, I don't, I'm not going to get any faster. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't matter, man. It's about just what gets you going. Maybe your goal is I want to be able to corner a rut better, or there's so many small little individual goals that you can do within riding that makes you way more fun.
What's the
that's why I always try to, I always hashtag these things, keep everyone on dirt bikes, keep kids on dirt bikes, because it's just a good feeling to have. And for me, like it keeps you motivated, and it gets you through those shitty days that you were talking about. Like, hey, you have something to look forward to,
What's the last little thing that you worked on to improve your riding?
Being with my kid again. My kid, man, he is so technically good on a bike. Like I watch him, and I'm not the dad that pumps up my kid a lot. I don't really say, oh, my kid's this. I don't really say much, but then I watch him, and I've been around the sport for a long time, and I go, fuck, he's really good at this. And so something that I've really worked on for me is where my foot placement is on my bike, because Aiden's really good at riding at the balls of his feet. And I grew up in the era of like, your feet is where your feet are, like the arches, if you're not, whatever. Like, so I've learned about technique over the years more, and it really does. And when you can do it, it really does help the traction of the motorcycle, how the bike reacts, how your body is in the right spot when you hit, a certain part of the corner. So I pay attention to my feet a lot more now. So I kind of know when I am on the arches, my brain's like, hey man, you need to scoot back a little bit. So that's something that I work on constantly. That keeps me kind of motivated when I ride.
Yeah, I'm always working on something, because I usually ride practice laps on a really crappy track, like on my own, and I'll usually just, most of the time the routine is to do an hour, and it's like it's just a natural terrain, crappy track, barely any jumps, no elevation. It's just a lot of corners, man.
Yeah, I'm sure just like a desert track for us out here, same thing.
I'll usually do an hour. I'll ride out because I can ride from my house. I'll do an hour around the track, ride home, or after that I might fuck around riding over logs or just some fun shit like that for a little bit. But that's usually it. But I'm usually trying to work on something, man. And I did the balls of the feet transition there about 5 years ago, and that was amazing. And how I did it, man, I was really fit at the time because I was training to do I wanted to do a state level race because I'd never done
Yep.
one. I'd actually ran a few of them because I've been involved in that sort of shit, but I'd never actually
Yep.
entered one, and so I was training for that, and I was going out and doing like 2 hour, 3 hours, just nonstop, just go, and one of those, I think it was a 2 hour. I was like, right, you're riding on your balls for the 2 hours, no matter what, and
Yep.
that just constant then, and that I've pretty much changed my style in a day, which was pretty cool. That was and man, it is the most the biggest change and improvement to my riding almost ever, I'd say. The control
Yep.
that I have once I changed my feet. Yeah, it was crazy to
Yep.
me that the way I could at my slow pace, my C grade pace, how I can move the bike with my hips and legs and that just so much better, and I can
Yeah. The leverage is
steer the
huge,
bike with my
when you do
foot.
it. Yep.
It's yeah, it's really cool. Man.
Yeah, I think a lot of that for my kid, I just came when he was, on
Yeah,
trials bikes. We put him on electric trials bikes back in the day, and every day after school, we would ride in the backyard, and having him stand up and having him on his feet a lot, having him a trampoline, all these things that I didn't really have growing up. It's oh, and YouTube, all these things that they have
yeah.
access to now that just makes people ride better.
It's crazy
So
what the kids can watch now. Like they turn up to races, man, and all the kids know like they all know what to do.
yeah,
They've been watching videos of Jet, for you know they're sitting there in the
right.
car in the ute watching videos of Jet before they get on their bike, and they're all trying to ride like that. And
Yeah,
yeah, it is
yeah, it's crazy.
it is pretty wild, man. It is pretty wild. Absolutely, man. I don't want to keep you too long, so we might move on to a couple of other things, man. Good fun talking about life and a little bit of bikes.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a two-parter on this thing,
Yeah,
I
man.
think.
Yeah, for sure. I always ask people about music, man. I know. I reckon I probably know your music taste a fair bit. I know you love. I know you love Blink, and I
I
know
do.
you love Creed. Um,
I love Creed. Yep,
and there's another one that I've heard you talk about. You love what's that song? You love Third Eye Blind.
I do love Third
What
Eye
else,
Blind.
man? What else are you into?
Goo Goo Dolls. Love Counting
Yeah,
Crows. I love old school rock. Love Rolling Stones. I love The Doors. I love Creedence
yeah,
Clearwater. All the stuff I grew up with. I love
yeah,
AC/DC. I love the Eagles. I'm just a music. I like all different kinds of music. I listen to some rap, Eazy-E, NWA, Snoop, all those things back in the day. I listen to country. But for me, the biggest ones, 90s rock was really huge in my
mm,
time. Third Eye Blind, Goo Goo Dolls, um, Counting Crows. Like I said, Blink 182. I'm a huge Angels and Airwaves guy. I think I love Angels and Airwaves more than I like
yeah,
Blink. Um, so yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I have, me and my wife, we listened to music a lot back in the day when we were dating, and there's certain quotes that we like that I use. So we have like, lyrics of songs here in the house, and during the day when I'm working or I'm typing, we have the TV on. It's on Pandora, so it's on the music stations all the time. I mean, me and Darkside talk about,
mm,
music. Randy and I were having a conversation about it, and just like music in general, where it takes you. You can listen to one note, one song, and it takes you back to where you were when you
mm,
heard that, first song. Um, I love the lyrics. I love listening to someone else's interpretation of what they went
yeah,
through, and how that portrays through music. That is also huge for me. Certain chords of guitars, pianos, and even some violins, dude. I don't know what it is, Steve. I will be fucking watching or listening to something, and it is a certain chord. Boom,
fair
I'll start
dinkum.
crying, and I'm like,
Wow.
what the fuck? What just
Yeah,
happened? But I don't know, something about it, like it just really drives. It hits something in me. So yeah, I think music, if anything else in this house, it's basically dirt bikes, music,
yeah.
football. That's what it is. the gist of almost every conversation in
Yeah.
this house.
I'm I love music, man. Big music fan. I would say my music knowledge isn't great because I've always stuck to things I like. Anything new
Yep.
I've stumbled across. But I've got a broad taste of that goes way back. But yeah, I was very much a grunge kid, you know.
Yeah,
But
Pearl Jam,
yeah,
Soundgarden,
Alice
dude.
in Chains. I
I mean, I
love
stood in
all that.
line literally back in the
Yeah,
day and we had a place called the Warehouse. It was just a music store, and I'd be in line at midnight to get the new Pearl Jam album, the CD, and
yeah,
that's what we did,
yeah,
right? Like Soundgarden or Temple the Dog, or I loved Alice in
yeah,
Chains and all that
yeah,
shit.
yeah. That, and then just all your classic rock. AC/DC to me, it's like it's beyond a band for for a lot of Aussies. It's beyond a band. It's a cultural thing. AC/DC is
Yeah,
like Vegemite and kangaroos, man. Like my dad gave
yeah,
me an AC/DC tape, and it was like here that was I don't think it was my first. No, it wasn't my first one, but it was probably one of my probably third or fourth. I bought a couple other things, and you go, here, you got to listen to this. It's like this rite of passage. You go to an AC/DC concert in Australia, man, it's fucking awesome. There'll be,
dude. Heather and I got this summer. We got
yeah,
tickets to see him.
I've been
Yeah.
there next to grandparents with grandkids. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, dude,
yeah.
that's sick.
All
We saw
generations.
Rolling. Me, and my buddy, my buddy Greg, that he was my best man at my wedding. We went and saw Rolling Stones a couple years ago, and it was it was really cool. It was at a stadium, so that the intimacy wasn't that big, but it still was cool to see the Stones and say you saw the Stones. They're a bunch of old fucking dudes just still doing it, and it's crazy to me. But like just the atmosphere. I had this old 78-year-old grandma smoking
Nothing.
weed next to me because her granddaughter was giving her some like
Yeah,
they're just I don't smoke weed, but I'm just like I thought that was
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
cool. Like, dude, that's
Yeah, you
crazy.
expect
Like
that. You
it's just
expect that at a concert.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What's your favorite song lyric, man? Do you have a favorite song lyric? Because I have a funny one that's always my favorite. But yeah,
Um, yeah, I do. I have a couple, and now that you say that, I need to look it up. But so I I always fuck with Heather. I said, look, when I die, you got to play this song at my funeral. And she's like, oh my God, I want to talk about it. That's so like, so Goo Goo Dolls has a song called Name. Um, and there is a lyric in there. It says, you grew up way too fast and now there's nothing left to give, So like for me, that it hits home a lot for me because I grew up
yeah,
really quick, seeing how my
yeah,
mom was, and like so that hits home really hard. And there's another lyric, and you put me on the spot. Maybe you can tell me yours, and I'll
yeah.
think of it. But like, there's another band called Dangerous Summer, and they're more of like a punk rock
Mm.
kind of band. But there's a lyric. Tell me yours, and I'll
So
look this
mine
up.
is Tone Loc, and it
Oh shit!
is it's this is the '80s, and I'm down with the ladies. I love it, man. It's the greatest. This is because it's
That
so
is
good, man.
awesome.
Because it's just everything about it.
Tone, dude.
So
Tone was
this is the
good,
'80s, and I'm down with the ladies. I fucking love
dude. Tone low. That you really can't fuck with that song. Like
it.
that song was
Yeah, man.
really
Yeah,
good.
that one gets me. It's on my Spotify list, and every time that bit of it comes up, it just cracks me up. Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah, yeah,
Um, what else? What other kind of music do you like now?
dude. I like a bit of just about everything, man. Like I don't mind a little bit of country, especially old school country. Johnny,
What
Johnny,
like Garth?
Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash,
Oh yeah.
Highwayman, bit of Willie. Even like Marty Robbins. Old country, Kenny Rogers, all that sort of stuff. I don't know a lot of newer country, but I've heard some things that I like. Yeah, I
Okay.
hear some. It's usually by accident. I'll find out a new, and I'll be like, oh, and I'll add them to me thing, and I'll only have one song because I heard it and I liked it or whatever, and then I might learn more about that artist. But with that sort of thing, I love, I like Aerosmith, Skid Row, all
Yeah.
that big Skid Row.
That's what I
Love
get
all that
into.
sort of
Like from
stuff. Zeppelin.
like when I get in my my van, Sirius radio goes to classic rock, classic rewind, stuff like
Like
that.
I'll even if when I'm driving, especially if I'm driving a fair way to a moto thing or something, man, it's a fucking rock concert in the Ute, man. It's like I'll have albums. I'll like to get a chance then to do the full album thing. And like I remember probably the last time.
That's a road trip thing
Last
for
time,
us. So when we go on road
yeah.
trips, we have a rule. When we go on these long road trips in our family, like, hey, everyone gets their own album to
Yeah, yeah.
choose, and we have to listen to the whole album. So Aiden picks one, I pick one, Heather picks one, and we all listen to each other's albums.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll yeah. I'm always on my own doing stuff like that. So I will I'll have like a lined up. I think last time I had just favorites that I hadn't listened to the whole lot. I hadn't deep dived, and you forget those few songs that you don't sort of routinely reach for. And I know I had Zeppelin 4. I had one of the Alice in Chains. I think it was I can't remember which one. And I had I think I had a Pearl Jam, and I had all these ones all lined up to.
Pearl Jam was my favorite growing up. That's what I listened to. Like every time when you had a disc changer, like when I got a 6-disc changer, I thought I was rich. I was like, oh shit, I can listen to all this music. And then, but if there was just a single deck, man, Pearl Jam 10 was in my fucking CD all the time.
Best Pearl Jam song.
Oh God. Best Pearl Jam song to me. I like my favorite, and it's generic, but it always hit. Black was always my favorite. I love Black.
That's like it's one of the greatest songs of all time. Like whatever the rules are, to me, Black is fucking amazing, man. That's
Yep. Black was
it's
great.
funny, it wasn't the big hit in the day, which is that, and that's the case so often, man. It's so often that
like their Versus album was really good. Like, I loved that album a lot. Yeah, Versus was a really good album, and Dissident was one of my favorite songs. Dissident was a great song for me. I love that song. But here's the lyrics. So this is what. So Heather and I, we haven't. This is something that we're doing. I'll let you in on this. We're not big tattoo people. We got Heather, Aiden, and I. We all have the same tattoo on our forearm. It's like a triangle that's interlocked with 3 sides. So me, Aiden, and Heather, and then that's the first tattoo that Heather got. And then I said, okay, hey, you're gonna tattoo some lyrics somewhere on your body that you think of me, and then I'll do something that reminds me of you when I hear the lyric. And we don't know what each other has, but we're gonna get it and then show each other. So she probably won't watch this, so I'm gonna tell you what mine is. So this is the lyrics. This is The Dangerous Summer, and the song's called Never Feel Alone. So Heather left me at, I don't know, I think around 2009. She bailed for like 6 months. We were going to get divorced. That was it. I had Aiden. I thought a lot. I was a big dickhead. I was working at Yamaha a lot, traveling, and just didn't treat her good, right? So she bailed. And then this lyric right here, what this means is kind of puts me back in that time where like, hey, I was an asshole. I did a lot of dumb shit, but I learned a lot from it. And me and you are better now because of what happened in our life. So this lyric says, when all I want to do is have this, I'm not strong enough to stand, because I've been pushed around before and I've felt the burn from every inch of my heart, but it's worth it to never feel alone.
Nice.
So you've been burned before, you felt it, but yet you're not going to trade that burn in just because you didn't want to feel the pain. The pain's helped you now, right? So like for me, that's a big meaningful song for me, because I listened to that lyric and it really hit home at the time. So that's what I'm going to do.
Where are you going to get that, man?
I think I'm going to just put it somewhere on the side right here.
Oh yeah. That's it.
So
that's the.
I only have one. I have my only tattoo is my mom's initials. And then we have my family here. Just those triangles, and then those lyrics, and that's all I'd get. I don't need to do anything else.
I actually have none, man. But I like tattoos. My wife's got fucking heaps, man. She's all linked up, but I have none. She loves it, man. And I love women with tattoos. Like it's fucking hot. I love it. So, but I don't have any. The only reason I don't have any is because every time I've thought about it, I look at the price, and this is everything in life. I look at what that costs. I calculate that into tires and chains and sprockets and gas.
Yeah, exactly.
And top ends, and I'm like,
Yep.
No, I'm not doing that. I need to change the sprockets. So everything in
Yeah. You're
life
like,
is
nah, I'm
calculated
good.
into what it takes to keep my dirt bikes going.
Yep.
But my niece is amazing. Actually, my daughter and my niece both amazing drawers. Drawing, and my niece is like just off the charts, and she wants to be a tattooist. And I keep saying to her, Uncle Steve, man, when you want to practice, because I know it'll be great. I said, yeah, let's
Hook it up.
go full back job, whatever you want. Like, let's go. And so I'll get
Yep.
to
Let's
Mick at
go.
some
I'm
stage
in.
once she gets old enough to get into that. Yeah. She's what is she?
Like I look at Dark Side's tattoos and I'm like, the fuck are you doing? Like we always talk shit
Yeah.
because he take his shirt off every time in the house and then just see Dark Side and he always like busts my, why do you call me Dark Side? I'm like, it's on your fucking stomach, Dark. Like, why do you not want me to call you?
He's such a good dude, man. He's a fucking
He
champion.
is, man. He's a good
champion,
heart,
man. Yeah. No,
as much shit as that guy gets from Steve
Yeah.
and I mean, you gotta love the fucking guy. Like, Jesus.
He's real, man.
He
He's
is,
real.
dude.
That's that's what I like. I like all different types of people. As long as they're real, man, that's the main thing. Like I don't care about people's politics or what they're into or not into or anything like that. It's just be fucking real and just be good, good person.
And I like people that just own up to their faults.
Yeah.
Like they know who they are, right? And they know this is their weak spot. And they're like, and as friends, you make fun of those faults, right? And they're just like, yeah, man, that's who I am. Like, and that's what
the
I
only
like.
people that are free, man. It's the only
Yeah.
people that are free in their own mind is when you own up to your faults and you love yourself with those faults. That's sort of what I teach people, and because that was massive for me. It's unbelievably freeing, man. Like you're mentally fucking bulletproof once you're like that. Like it's like if I'm not good at this, and I do this, and I fuck this up, but I'm unbelievably good at other things, and I'm owning that I'm good at stuff too, and I'm owning that
I recognize it. Right.
So there's things. There's things that you got to that, and no one can offend you, no one can upset you because and I mean, well, they can, but no one can offend you or upset you with anything that's honest or real. Like
absolutely. Like Heather and I, like some people will talk shit about something that I've done or something, and I'm just like, and she's like, really? Because I don't want everyone to like me. I go, if everyone liked me, I'm doing something wrong. Like,
yeah,
I am who I am. I'm the best version I can be and if you like me, cool. And if you don't, I understand it. Like, I'm not for everybody. I get it. Like, and I'm fine with that. I'm not here to please everyone. I'm here to try to help people. But like for me, you don't like how my delivery is, or I cuss too much. You don't like the sex talk. Like, I get it. I understand it. But this is who I am. So,
yeah, that's it. That's it, man. Dude, I just while we're on music, one more little thing on music, man. One of my favorite questions. I haven't rolled this one out for a little while. Is if you could time travel to a concert in the past, where are you going? Could be 2 years ago.
Zeppelin,
could be
dude.
20. You're going to Zeppelin. Whereabouts? Like, what's the environment look like? Like stadium show, or
somewhere in Europe. I would love to go see a show in Europe. Somewhere really cool in Europe. Led Zeppelin. Man, I just think it would have been fucking awesome.
Like fucking Berlin or Prague or
just
like yeah.
Dude, I would love to see Zeppelin back in Robert Plant, just fucking tearing it up days. That would have been something cool,
Yeah, man. Yeah,
and we talked about this too. Jimi Hendrix, somewhere to see Jimmy back in the day. Wasn't a really huge Jimmy guy, but just I respect how good he was at what he did, and to sit there and listen to that and watch that, it'd be amazing. I got to watch Prince one time. We talked about this, and that was really amazing.
Yeah.
Like he just some dive bar. I knew a bouncer there that worked there. He's like, hey, Prince is gonna come in here and do a show. If you want to come, just you can bring one person, just don't say anything. And I did, and he did this show. It was completely dark in this place. Only lights that were on were behind the bar if you want to order a drink. That was kind of lit up in there, but where he was playing, completely fucking dark, and he played a 2-hour set, fucking dark, just completely dark.
fucking that, man. That would have been fucking magic, man.
It was, and here's the thing. I wasn't a Prince guy. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
well, fuck it. I don't see Prince, whatever. I just thought, oh, it's gay, whatever. Prince
Yeah,
is
yeah.
whatever. Dude, unbelievable
Yeah.
how gnarly that guy is.
Yeah. Amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge, as a young fella and that, I wasn't huge. I was like, because, you know, man, I grew up in country Australia in the 80s, man. So everyone was a little bit racist. Everyone was homophobic.
Yeah.
Everyone was all stuffy about all these things, you know.
Yeah.
So as a young bloke, you know, my dad was probably calling him a fucking poofter or something, you know, like whatever, because that's just how everyone talked, you know, like everyone was like that. That was just the whole the culture of the place. But yeah, man, in later years, you know, I got to really love his music, and I've just become a bigger and bigger fan of these over the years.
I am too, man. I loved it. Loved Michael Jackson. I loved all that stuff back in the day, man. Like that was my first cassette tape ever, was Michael Jackson Thriller. That was
Thriller.
I played the shit out of that, you know.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome. Dude, who was your is just one of my other fun questions, man. Who was the poster on the wall, man? Who was the teenage crush? So the celebrity girl.
Janet Jackson.
Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
Fair dinkum. Nice.
Janet Jackson. If you remember her album cover with some dudes holding their tits from behind, and she's shirtless, and then just see some hands around her just holding her boobs. That was my poster in my room for years. Yeah. I had something for Janet, man. Janet was the one for me. And then immediately I remember crying to my sister when I was younger because I realized I was never going to meet Debbie Gibson. And I was really upset about.
Who was Debbie Gibson again? I know the name.
Oh, you'd have to research, dude. I'd even forget the songs nowadays. But I just remember Debbie Gibson.
Was she a solo artist? Yeah, I can remember the name. She was a blonde.
Correct.
Yeah.
I still follow her now on Instagram, and she's super hot, dude. She lives in Vegas somewhere, and she's older, and she's super hot.
Yeah.
So those two, I think, were my biggest like crushes. Janet Jackson for sure, just because I remember how hot she was. And then Debbie Gibson was like when I was really young.
Yeah, man. For me, like I always say, I never had the poster on the wall because I would be too embarrassed about what my mum would think. But Kelly Bundy, man. Big Kelly Bundy. And then the other one, sort of probably the second one, the one that's a bit sort of a bit different. I always had a thing for Wendy James.
Who's that?
She was the lead singer of Transvision Vamp.
Don't know that one.
You don't know them? I think they're a British band. So yeah.
Okay. I'll have to look it up now that you say that.
Transvision Vamp. Okay. And you don't look her up nowadays. She hasn't aged. She hasn't aged that great. No, she did life hard. So she's not one that aged great. But yeah, she was the when I was a young fella, my thing was the skanky blondes. Like skanky blondes was everything. Like that was the only thing, you know, that was all I liked. And first girlfriend, and then the crazy one, they're skanky blondes, like, you know, super skanky.
I was always been a blonde guy myself too. Even before Heather, I had another Heather. And
I remember hearing about
everyone thinking it was the same Heather. So it was just a blonde thing for me.
But I had that, and then I fell in love with a buxom brunette. So that changed my taste basically.
Just snuck up on you, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, I snuck up on her. Yeah. So that was funny, man. Now I've got to tell you this. There's a funny bit out of this. She would kill me. I'm an overshare, but my wife's not. But the first, I'd never touched anything bigger than a B cup.
Okay.
And I was fucking elite on undoing bras, man. Fucking elite, like elite skill. But I'd only ever dealt with a 2-clipper.
Okay.
You know, the 2-clipper. And I could literally walk up behind my girlfriend and just click my fingers through a t-shirt and undo her bra. Like I was that good. It was like a practiced skill, you know. And but I'd never but she was a B cup, you know, so, and she'd crack the shits and that. There's a lot of stories about that crazy chick. But anyway, then that all fell apart, all very nasty and terrible and everything, heartbreak. And then started back on the loose, and then it wasn't long before I met my wife Susie, and we hooked up. It was the old school nightclub pickup, you know.
Yep.
And we hooked up, and I could see she had big boobs, you know.
Yep.
But then we've got her back to the motel room where I was staying, you know, because we were we'd go to the city and get a motel room in case you pulled a chick, you know.
Yeah.
And I press her up against the wall, and I go to do the bra snap, thinking I'm going to look like a fucking hero here.
Yeah.
And it doesn't undo. And I'm
shit.
like, fuck. So I have a second go at it, and it was a fucking 3-clipper.
Oh,
yeah,
it's like a chastity belt for titties.
Fuck. But then I remember I grabbed that E cup, and I was like, fucking wow, this is life changing. Like,
you're now a boob guy.
Don't worry about them skinny skanky chicks. Like, you want a handful, you know. So that was there's a little bit of boobs. That's probably the first boob story on this show, you know. But
that's awesome. Like, everyone asks me,
because I know that you're open to it. Yeah.
Everyone asks me, are you a boob guy or a butt guy? And I'm like, I'm a boob guy. I just like boobs.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I like everything, of course, you know, but
of course,
yeah, particularly boob. Yeah.
But when you see a woman,
you're
like,
amazing.
for me, like, she has a nice rack. Okay, great.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's fantastic, isn't it? Fantastic, dude. 2 things I do to close out the show, man.
Yes, sir.
First one is give me your best Aussie accent.
Oi, mate, you want a gobby?
Geez, you're actually not too bad, man. Yeah.
You know what? I just learned what a gobby was not too long ago. So I thought I'd use that.
Yeah. Gobby's a BJ.
Yeah.
That you're not too bad, man. Yeah.
Oi, mate. Like fucking cunt. Cunt. You guys use cunt a lot.
Yeah.
Cunt's just like, because I hang out with Ricky Gilmore.
Oh, so yeah.
Gilly says cunt every other word, and I'm like, dude, that's gnarly.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, it's just like shit for you guys. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. I'm like, all right. So
yeah. I mean, you gotta like anywhere, you gotta pick your audience.
Yeah, like that. I'll bring him lunch, and he goes, fucking cunt. And I'm like, I just brought you lunch. Why am I a cunt?
Because
it's like, oh, fucking A, like, yeah, hell yeah. Like, I'm like, okay.
There's like multi meanings, and it mostly depends on the tone. I've taught this to people before, but I've got a lot of American friends nowadays, and I've taught this same thing. It's like, it's really the tone. Like the key basic thing is, you know, someone can be a good cunt or a shit cunt, you know, and that makes sense. But also, you know, you can say exactly the same thing in a different tone. Like, you know, you could say someone brings you lunch, and you're like, oh, can't.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like.
Pretty much like saying thank you.
Yeah,
but someone could do something stupid, and you could go fucking cunt.
Yeah,
in a different tone, and that means that you're fucking angry with them. You know, exactly. It's the same thing.
I've been learning as I go with Gilly. That's what I've been learning. Yes.
Yeah. But it's honestly, I always say, you know, I overuse it. Like, I'm super potty mouth. Comes from my dad, he was, and now my kids. So it's like, I grew up with my dad dropping a lot of swear words, man. And because he was pretty wild, and he was rebellious to his religious upbringing, basically, you know, where then he was like lots of swear words, and then and then I do, and then and my kids, and it's just like, and I don't really care, man. Like, it doesn't bother me, but I'm also very respectful. Like, when I had Randy on the show, I didn't swear, and it was no problem. I didn't
I'm the same way.
Yeah, I can just turn it off. Like when I was talking to my mum, you know, I would turn it off. So
I've learned that too. Like, you know the room, right? Like, I hang out with Trey Kennard, and I know Trey's not like that, and I just don't do it. And that's what we talked about. He had his own little show, his podcast, and I did it with him on his first one. And he's like, yeah, what I like about you is, like, people say, oh, you're gonna have Keefer on the show? He's crazy. But he's like, I know you. He's like, you only do that at certain times, and you know when to turn it on and when to turn it off. Like I know who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to something that they don't do that, I respect it. Like that's how you live your life. I'll respect that. I have no problem. So
Yeah, man. Yeah, like I've got, plenty of friends that are religious, man, and I'll, some of them still do cuss, or we say swear, you say cuss, or that, and some of them don't. But you just get to know, and just, that's the way it is. Probably the only time I like it when you get Aussies drinking, that gets harder to behave.
that gets aggressive.
I always say when Aussies drink, we talk faster and faster and faster, and we swear more and more and more. It's like, yeah, that's the thing, man. Yeah, cool, man. Very last thing I do, like they warned you about. I haven't told the backstory for a while, so I usually skip this bit. So, very first show, planned like a motherfucker for everything about the show, and I had my mate Ryan Hughes, not crazy Rhino in the mountains, but Ryan Hughes from Pro Circuit. He's a friend of mine. He was on show one. So, yeah, comfortable with a mate in case I fuck things up. And plus, he's got a great story and he's a great guy. And planned it to a T. About to, I'm not far off doing the show, and I realised I don't have an outro song. And I've got nothing planned because I used to actually play the intro song. Now licensing and all that, I added in and out there. So intro song's an Aussie rock band, but no outro song, and I'm just like, oh fuck it, I'll just sing something because I like to sing.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do I know the words to that I can just rip it out? And I was like, Kenny Rogers. So there you go. Okay. I did it on show one, and then I just kept doing it. And sometimes people join in, sometimes people don't. And that's it.
I only know a little bit of Kenny. I don't know much Kenny.
You'll probably know the words. So I just do a verse and a chorus.
Okay.
So if you know, by all means, jump in. So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light. And the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, if you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold 'em.
Hold 'em.
Know
when to fold 'em. Know when to walk away. Know when to run.
You never
You better count your money. When you're sitting at the table.
There'll be time enough for counting.
When the dealing's done.
Excellent, man.
I know that one. Okay.
I love it when people join in, man. I haven't had someone join in for a while, so yeah, that's awesome, man.
That's awesome, dude. Well, I appreciate you having me, man. It's fun to talk about life with you, and you're a good dude, Steve, man. Keep this shit up. I love it.
No worries. Thank you very much for your time, man. Enjoy yourself. I know you're going to Anaheim too, so have a great time there. I've seen you're going to the live show with Steve, and then
we have a big show tonight. We got the greatest retired rider of all time, Ryan Villapoto.
Yeah.
And of course, Angry Phil will be there. So yeah, it should be a good one.
Good stuff, man. And say good day to so who you got there? Randy, Robbie, and Dark.
Yeah, they're up my ass. They want to go to lunch, so they're sitting there looking like a pack of dogs wanting to go eat lunch with me right now.
Tell them g'day from me, and tell them I'm sorry for keeping you so long. All right,
cheers, good, man. Brother. I appreciate you.
Okay, appreciate you too, man. Cheers, man. Bye.
All right, cheers.